Today Robin and I are going to meet Saskia for the first time. Saskia is a writer/photographer, and she asked us if we wanted to take part in a podcast for a collective called Vibe Union. It didn't take long to realise how easily she fit into our crazy bunch, and her writing style was both raw and gritty, the way we like it. Her little idiosyncrasies, like the way she carries her smoke tucked between her ears, or the bridge of her glasses tipped higher when she's asked a question, or the way she says sorry for all the details nobody noticed. She makes me feel comfortable. I told her all about the characters that live at a state library, like the monk lost in a black hole, or the mute who wanders from person to person asking for some dollars. She enjoyed the stories, and told us all about her stories that I never seen before. And so we chatted for a few hours before heading out to our first ever podcast together as a group of writers. When we got to Rye's house, we didn't really know what we were going to talk about, so we just talked and talked until we found some meaning. And here's a clip of meaning I want to share with you. Melbourne is so moulded. It's like, this is the way it is. And anything outside of that way, people cannot configure it, and they get really anxious. And, you know, sometimes I just feel like bringing a sledgehammer and just smashing this mold to pieces in people's faces and saying, let's rebuild it again. And let's listen to new ideas. Even if you don't agree, just listen. And this is what the street has taught me. Because when you're operating on the street and you're talking to people on the street, you might not agree with what everybody says. But if you really want to be a good writer or observer of the street, you've got to leave your morals, you've got to leave your judgment behind you and just listen. And if they say something absurd, just listen and just nod your head as if you're listening, and just make them feel like they're heard. There's a story that really makes my heart warm. Is there's a guy I call him like the Big Red Hulk, and he was this dude and his arms were about the size of tree trunks, and he was screaming at the world saying, "The devil is here, the devil is here." And he was huge. And I looked at him and I thought, I'm going to ask this dude what the devil looks like. You know, I just went up to him and I was like, "Hey mate, what's the devil look like?" You know, in a very normal way. Instead of like, "What's the devil look like?" in a dickhead way.
Yeah.
Right. And I swear to you, his face just went from bright red to like white. And his fire in his eyes just went extinguished. And he looked at me and he's like, "What?" Like really like makes my heart warm. And he was like, he went really calm and he didn't scream anymore. And he said, "Oh yeah, my mother used to hit me when I was a little boy, because I used to see little red children flying above my bed when I went to sleep. Wow. And every time I told her, she'd bring out the rectifier and with this big wooden spoon and hit me. So all my life I'm just screaming for someone to listen to me. I want to listen to everybody, and I want to hear in between the lines of everybody. And I feel like this is a way that creative movements can can happen."
That's great.
How did it go?
Jay, I'm so tired. I'm not even kidding.
Me too. I just want to cry.
I just want to go for a coffee and sleep on a train.
When I was talking on that podcast thing, I just couldn't even hear myself thinking. I was
We're
just
so
rambling.
tired.
If you ever get invited to a podcast, please don't worry. It'll be okay, because eventually you'll find meaning in between your lines. I promise. For my writing, feel free to follow me at JTheAuthor on Instagram. All the best and have a wicked day. Whoop whoop. Love from Jay.